Welcome to episode number 2 of the Career Breakthrough series. I'm your host, Paul Ames, and on the show today, guys, I've got an amazing guest, which is Victor Ahipene. Victor has a number 1 ranked podcast on iTunes in 6 countries called the Youngpreneurs Podcast. He's also a public speaker delivering keynote presentations both nationally and internationally. And he's also the founder of the Public Speaking Blueprint. Today on the show, he's going to be sharing you some amazing tips, tricks and strategies to ensure that you nail all of your meetings, presentations and seminars in your career and engage your audience with an incredible presentation. Well guys, I'm really excited to share this episode with you, and let's get started on the interview. Hey guys, I just want to thank you all for joining me for episode number 2 of the Career Breakthrough series. Today I've got an amazing guest, Victor Ahipene. Victor's helped me with so many things in my business, and I'm a regular listener to his amazing podcast, which is ranked number 1 in iTunes for small business and entrepreneurship. It's called the Youngpreneurs Podcast. Victor's also the co-founder of an amazing training called the Public Speaking Blueprint. Victor, thank you so much for joining me on the show. As I said, I'm always in regular contact with you, and you've personally helped me a lot with a lot of things in my business. So if you just want to give our listeners a bit of a background of basically what your current business is and what you really do.
No problem, man. I am, well, as you said, I'm a podcaster, public speaker, do a little bit of online marketing as well, but previously I was a physio. So it's kind of been a bit of a transition, and the public speaking side of things, the public speaking blueprint, it's really came about to take the story back a wee bit. I started doing public speaking when I was about 13 at high school. It was part of the curriculum at school to do public speaking, and
awesome.
It was something that I never lacked confidence, but there's a big difference between confidence and having a framework.
Definitely, man. And I can completely relate. I think that's amazing you learned that in school. I wish I'd learned some public speaking skills from school. I've had to pretty much teach myself or learn from some of the experts. So that's amazing, man. And
yes.
I guess confidence is such a big thing too. Like I used to be quite a shy, kind of introverted sort of person. So since doing small business and learning from amazing people and your podcasts and stuff, it's really helped me come out of my shell and build my confidence and certainty. So yeah, thanks, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, no problem. And so I eventually did some private classes as well. Kind of with a friend, we pushed through it, and I ended up getting a diploma in public speaking and got on with my public speaking teacher really well. Still get on with her and talk with her. I just wrote a piece about public speaking for podcasting for public speakers for her, something she puts out. But what I was doing by the end of school was I was teaching people, like teaching my peers, teaching the younger kids at school who were preparing for exams, and I was competing in different competitions. But again, it wasn't just like you hear a lot of people who will say, "Oh, you've got the gift of the gab," and this person can sell ice to Eskimos. But all of them work off a framework. The best salesman, they might exude confidence, but you can exude confidence and you can waffle.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Yeah, you can exude confidence, and as say a salesperson, you might go into something and you're like, you don't solve their problem. So you can be like, yeah, check out this awesome and this, but you don't actually listen to the person. Whereas I listen to a podcast about sales, and they say the person who speaks most loses.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember hearing that too on one of the podcasts as well. It's and it's so true. If you really listen to, like, obviously coming from my counseling background, it's a big part of that's active listening. So, actually listening to what your client or listening to what your potential prospect has to say, or, for a sales industry role, listening to what they've got to say is such a key element for people to really learn from. So, yeah.
And then I guess from there, my whole public speaking as a active tool, it helped in my physio, it helped in my podcasting, but I kind of put it on the back burner that I was a public speaker per se, until I gave a talk locally, and a few people were like, "Oh, you're a pretty good speaker." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I did quite a bit of it at school, etc." Said that story, and they're like, "Really? I had no idea." And it's like, I was like, well, I don't really tell. It's not a secret, but it's not really something you go around and say, I got a diploma in this and I'm a confident public speaker. And then a few people were like, can you teach me? And there was enough people that kind of showed interest that I was like, all right, let's turn this into something. I'll turn it into a day event and we'll see how it goes. It could be like, if you get nothing out of it, then I'll kind of be surprised, but you get nothing out of it. If you get something, then cool. And so we ran our first event a couple of months ago, and it was pretty awesome. Like, a lot of it's around impromptu speeches, which is the most daunting thing. But if you can set the right framework to do an impromptu speech, which a lot of people don't think you can even put a framework to, then giving a set speech on something you actually are an expert in or you know a lot about is a hell of a lot easier. So we had people who were struggling to get to, the aim was a minute preparation at the start of the day for a 3-minute talk. And people were struggling to get to a minute. And it started with, some pet peeves that I have. Hi, my name's Paul, and today I'm going to talk to you about, and I'm like, when I used to teach people, I just used to throw like stress balls at them and be like, they say they say ours, because it's kind of that shock. Like, oh, what that? Where did that? We didn't do this and that. But by the end of the day, we were going to impromptu talks, but more about stuff they knew, and they were giving 5-6 minute off the cuff talks with confidence, controlling the audience,
Brilliant.
Emotion, and it was really, really cool and inspiring to be able to do that, because a couple were entrepreneurs, like two of the people, when they were entrepreneurs, some were just in their jobs, others were looking to, like much of your audience is to transition through their job by leveraging public speaking. So an accountant who's giving a lot of middle to senior management talks. He's like, wow, this is going to massively change the perception, because he was really good at what he did, but he couldn't necessarily convey that.
Yep. And I'm a huge believer in the importance of public speaking skills in your career. It's such a valuable tool that so many people can use in your career, whether that be to display really effective meetings, or give really good presentations to either stakeholders or other people in your team. It's just such a valuable tool to have that confidence and certainty in yourself to be able to deliver an effective public speech. I think it's an amazing tool, and so underutilized, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll dispel a few myths for you about, first off, the things that make people, that public speaking's the biggest fear, more than dying and things like that. The thing is, people don't realize that no one else knows what you're going to talk about.
Exactly.
So if I miss something in this podcast, or in this video cast, or I miss something when I'm giving a speech on stage, if I'm still giving compelling content, if I go a minute too short or 2 minutes over, nobody knows. Like people walk off and they go, "Oh my God, I forgot to say such and such." It's like, nobody knows that. And I mean, the thing is, unless it's an absolutely horrible speech, and that's usually due to controversy, not poor performance, people never sit in the audience and go, that person was terrible. Unless you've been hired as a keynote speaker and you've just massively under-delivered on value, not on presentation. And so that's one of the big things that if people can get around is, if you forget to say something, it doesn't matter. Like, you're probably going to see these people afterwards. You're probably going to intermingle with them. They're probably going to ask you that question. You can answer it. And that's the thing is, there's this stigma that a lot of speakers or people who have to speak publicly have, that they have to deliver for everybody. The difference is, when you're on stage, when you're on a video cast, when you're on a podcast, you actually get put into this automatic position of authority. So unless somebody out there is a lot wiser than you, the majority of people take what you say as gospel.
Exactly. Well, it's like the old saying, mate, we're our own worst enemy. So we're always going to critique ourselves and put ourselves in a place where we're like, oh, did I under-deliver? It's always that conscious thoughts coming in and our own limiting beliefs, which are stopping us. And as you say, a lot of people don't even know what about our subject or our topic. So more times than not, like you said, it's gospel and it's amazing content we're delivering. So it's really true, mate. So next, I just wanted to move on and go into basically what's some of your previous careers that you've done, and what are some of your biggest learnings that you've achieved from those careers, or what's some of the biggest learnings you've got from your past or your history?
I guess from the physio side of things is effective communication is a delivery to patients. So everybody, regardless of what job they're in, I believe, is a salesperson.
Definitely, man.
I mean, a person comes in, say, for physio, and I'm selling them on my expertise, that they are willing to come back, that I can fix and solve the problem that they're trying to do. And the problem is a lot of university or educational systems, they put us into this framework that when we come out of it, we think that we know it all, but we don't realize that the person on the other receiving end doesn't know that we know it all, that we can solve their problem.
Exactly.
And we're not taught to sell, and we're not taught to effectively communicate. So the first thing is I like to put things into the best framework that I possibly can. So I'll give you an example, I guess, from physio. You come in to see me, you sit down, and I say, hey, Paul, I'm just going to ask you some, I'm Victor, I'm just going to ask you some questions, then we're going to do some tests, and then I'll do some treatment, and then we'll put together a plan. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Now, if I look at what do you get out of it? Okay, this blah, 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 and blah. That's generally what people go, yeah, cool, whatever. If you come in and I say, hey, Paul, have you ever been to physio before? I get to set precedent. So you go, hey, no, I haven't, or yes, I have. Whatever you answer, I say, oh, cool. If you've been before, this is how we may do it differently to where you've been previously. This is what we're going to do. Or if you haven't, this is how physio works with us. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask a specific set of questions to get a full idea of your issue.
Yep.
And then you go, oh, cool. And then I say, and from that, we're going to get a hypothesis, and I'm going to do some specific testing that's going to either confirm or deny that hypothesis. Then we're going to tailor a specific treatment plan and outline that to get you to full recovery. Exactly the same thing I said previously, but I'm putting it to, I'm stopped thinking about me, like this is what I'm going to do. It's how am I going to solve it? And from other industries that I've looked at or I've been involved in, is as soon as you make yourself relatable to the other person. It can be in a job interview. It can be when you're on the phone making a sale. It can be when you're dealing with clients. As soon as you, A, make yourself relatable, and B, you start speaking about how you're going to be helping them, then the whole thing changes. And that's what I've found. I don't think you can really find an industry that doesn't apply to. A lot of the time people will go into a job interview thinking about themselves, and that's just the job interview, whereas they should really be thinking about situations where they've helped previous employers or they helped previous clients have massive successes rather than been this, or ways that they can add value to that business and speak about the business or the solutions that they offer rather than themselves personally, which it's very, very difficult, especially on the spot. But that's where preparation and I guess having a framework to work off on your language patterning, which is none of these things can happen overnight, but you can have dramatic changes in short periods of time.
Exactly. Oh, that's awesome advice. Thanks for that, mate. And I completely agree with you. I was talking to Todd Pierce on the last interview exactly about the same thing and saying, I think a lot of the thing is because my biggest pain point came from obviously going through high school and job hopping through my 20s, having no direction. Hence why I can relate to a lot of my clients who are really stuck and frustrated and confused in their career. So on that level, you provide that genuine, caring, empathetic ability where you really get to understand their personal problem and can relate to it. And that's such a massive point where you said, coming from that place as opposed to just going, blah, 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 blah. This is our process and procedure that I've been taught. Rather, the authentic, genuine nature just makes such a massive difference. And like you said, with interviews, it's exactly the same with me. Whenever I help clients with interviews, it's always a structured approach or, focusing on some of the key points. Like a lot of people don't actually realize body language takes up the majority of your communication style. And a lot of people don't even realize they're doing really poor body language or displaying really poor body language to their interviewer. And as a result, they shut off straight away. So, yeah, thanks for that, mate. That was an amazing piece of advice. So next, I just want to move on to what you think are some of your biggest limiting beliefs or biggest mental roadblocks that have stopped you either in your career or in your business, and what you've done to overcome them or learn from them.
I think it's a constant. For me, it's fear of success.
Yep.
A lot of people have fear of failure. I think I have the confidence to bounce back, but I'm scared of what will happen when I go to the next level or something that I'm not comfortable with. And often I know what to do at that next level.
Yep.
But I'm not at that next level, and I've had that through career cycles that as soon as I get into this reoccurring pattern of I'm getting comfortable, and then there's this next opportunity, because I often put myself in positions where opportunities arise. So, I'll be, say, in a physio role, and an opportunity will arise. And then I hit this place of procrastination, or finding that's generally how it exudes out of me is I have a fear of success, and then I will procrastinate, whether it's social media, whether it's bad habits, whether it's poor eating, all these things that I'll do. And so it's a constant thing to realize, and I'm getting more self-aware with it, but it's a matter of going, why am I self-destructing in certain areas of my life? It's probably because there's this big change that's potentially going to happen. So, I mean, I wouldn't have a definite side of things, but I think the majority, a large amount of people, it's when we're in our comfort zone too long, we go and take that we have either fear of failure, fear of success, that they're fairly similar things that a lot of the time, the way I get over it, like I had a three-way Skype call with some friends the other day. I just got ideas flowing, and it just hit this, whether it's social validation from other people, or it's ideas, or it's, invalidation, if that's even a word. To say, nah, what you're doing, it's, don't waste your time, or, getting through those areas. And then I can kind of go, okay, cool. It's and it shouldn't be something I should be searching for. It shouldn't be someone else's validation to get over that hump. But often it is. It's people saying, "Oh, yeah, that'll be really good." I mean, like after I just had a message, and I mean, the public speaking blueprint's still kind of rolling out into what the beast that it will eventually be. But one of the students was messaging me today. He's like, "When are we kicking off the next level of it? I want to start now."
Oh, wow.
and so it's that thing of me going, I've been away, but it's been like 6 weeks probably since we had the event. How have I not put this into something that's larger because people want it? So that's something that kind of pulls both, pull the trigger and say, okay, other people want it. I'm doing a disservice. So a muddled answer, I'd say a poor answer. I haven't got a huge strategy to get over it as of yet, but I think self-awareness is one of the things. Once you're aware, at least you can start making habitual changes.
Yep, definitely. And that's one of the biggest things I teach my clients with their mindset, to go from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. Is awareness is your key point. That's your first element. You need to catch yourself in the middle of these behaviors or patterns you've formed. Obviously, I remember listening to a podcast saying that all of our patterns and behaviors are formed from the time we're 0 to 7 years old. And from that, we get these beliefs that don't serve us anymore most of the time. There's been a lot of stuff I've had to work through, and a lot of bullshit that I've had to clear out of my own head moving forward in my business. I think one of the main ones I had was, having that employee mindset for so long, because I'd grown up in a family of, you need to work to make money. And starting a business, I still had that mindset. So I had to clear that out myself. So, it's pushing through a lot of these beliefs is quite difficult at times. But as you said, awareness and catching yourself when you do these behaviors and saying, oh, that's just that bullshit belief coming up, catch yourself and to move forward from it and go, you know what? That's just fear. I'm going to embrace that and move forward. I think that's one of the key ways. So thanks for sharing that, mate.
All good.
So, the next part I want to go into is what are you most excited about with your business? What's the biggest things looking to the future that you really lights you up and fills your cup?
It's definitely putting together the overall public. It's probably going to be more around people growing their authority within their brand. So it's going to be looking at combining people releasing, say, a book, people releasing a podcast, and people improving their public speaking and getting booked at public speaking events, to take them from being these unknown experts to these authorities within their industry. So that's definitely getting me pumped, because and live events. Like I'm an extroverted person who thrives with people around me.
Yep.
And the entrepreneurial space can often be like, I've got a sit to stand desk, which has given me a bit more enthusiasm, but it can be a pretty lonely place where, you know, the other half goes out to work at 8 o'clock and she'll get back at about 6 tonight, and she's happy doing what she's doing, but it's in the meantime, man, when procrastination sets in and you're like, oh my God, I did stuff all today, or I didn't get everything that I wanted to achieve. And so I want to be engaged with more people, face to face, touring around, doing some events. So that's, because I think the skills that I have in that public speaking space can benefit a lot of people, because a lot of people, they don't suck, they just don't realize that they're good yet.
No, exactly. I think that's so true, man. And you're exactly right. It can be quite a lonely, isolated world. Like, as I said, I used to be quite an introverted person at school, mainly because I was just so shy, and I went through a rough time in high school of being bullied, and I really hated school.
Yeah.
But, by nature, I'm a definite extrovert. I love networking. Like, I've built up most of the same networks. We kind of have all pretty much the same connections and stuff like that. Yeah. So, it can be quite isolated. And I think it's important to, not only in your business, but also in a career, to be able to have people to mentor you, or to have these people to bounce ideas off of or relate to in your career to help you grow and move forward. You don't always have, like, your partner doesn't always want to listen to you when you're either talking about business or your career. They tend to tune out after listening for so long. So having like-minded people in your life to be able to relate to and, as I said, bounce ideas to is, such a crucial thing. So, thanks for that, mate.
I think it's super important as well for people in their careers to realize that. Like, a lot of people who'll be coming to you from the career side of things have got aspirations. Even the 99% of people have aspirations. A large percent of them don't want to admit that they've got aspirations because of maybe that fear of success or fear of failure.
Definitely.
But if you, when I first, and this is hopefully an analogy for people out there looking for jobs, I initially thought when I first started physio that I'd eventually run my own clinic and work with top-level sports teams. So we worked overseas, and we came to Australia, and I was willing to take the minimum pay anywhere to have the best training possible.
Yeah,
because I wanted to surround myself, and this is the message we're trying to get around, is surround yourself with the people who, they might only be a level above you, or they might be 5 levels above you. Try and surround yourself with those people, because they're going to lift you up.
Exactly.
You're not going to be able to pull them down, because they've got their aspirations as well. And the side realization was, within 2 years I got offered a practice, and I was working with professional sports teams, and I still wasn't overly fulfilled. So at least I saw that, and I didn't spend another 10 years and then decide to go, hey, what should I do? So I think, the people that you surround yourself with inside and outside of work is definitely going to have an effect. And generally the people who have aspirations are usually in a more positive mindset, generally. And so, you're going to have a happier time in your career, whether that be working for yourself or working for someone else.
Definitely, man. That's brilliant. Thanks for that. So just moving on to the next bit. So what do you think is 3 to 5 actionable tips to help people progress in their career with public speaking, or how they can get started? And what's the most important pointers you think they should do? Say if they're trying to present a big meeting, or they're shitting themselves because they've got a big presentation coming up for the CEO or board of directors. What do you think some of the biggest tips and techniques they could utilize to help them ensure that they either present an amazing presentation, or to be able to have confidence when they're presenting?
I've got a few points there. So the first is, do not write your speech out word for word. And speaking with the accountant who came on my training, he's like, but I give a lot that are number based. I'm like, but do you know that? Like, do you know what you're talking about? Yeah. Well, why are you writing it word for word? Because as soon as people start forgetting something that they're going to talk about, then the whole speech starts kind of spiraling out of control. And so I would write down key points and know those key points. But then when you're also constructing, say, a PowerPoint slide, keep it clear. Like, the worst kind of talks to go to are ones that people are reading their speech off their slides. Like, they've written basically everything, and then they turn to you at the end of it, and then they go back to it, and they're just reading like, have a picture or have a graph or have a couple of words, because you can speak off that. And as I said, if you miss a couple of those points, that's cool. You might see that graph and you go, look, we've had 42% growth over the last 5 years. Now, I can put that down to multiple factors, this, and this, but I expect that we can have this because of this, and this. And the person's going to be able to talk off that in a meeting and keep people engaged. Like, if someone's putting it just on a PowerPoint with all the words, just print that off and send it to me. Like,
exactly. I
freaking read that. Like, I can read it in 5 minutes and I can probably get 90% of your gist. People want to be engaged, and they're only going to take away at the most 60, 70, 80% of your talk. They're not going to take away everything. So don't over clutter with information. I think about what is the one message that you want to get across. So, reverse engineer it. What is the one message you can get across, and break that down into 3 points, 2 to 3 points. Like, if you're going to the gym, a gym instructor shouldn't be giving you 12 different exercises on your first day. You're going to get overwhelmed. You're not going to remember them, and you're probably going to get discouraged. If you give them 2 to 3 points that really drum home, you can speak for 2 to 3 points for a minute on each or 10 minutes on each. It's quite easy to wind them out, as long as you're talking about those points. And you don't necessarily have to say, we're going on to our next point, we're going on to our next point, we're going on to our next point, and in conclusion, make it just sound like if you were having a chat to somebody, as in, you start talking about point A, start talking about point B, start talking about point C. Do not say, and in conclusion, say, so I'm super excited about what we've got for the next year, because with the things that, you don't have to say the things that I've spoken about, but, with the increased jobs that we're getting within the business, the growth that we're putting up and the culture that we're building, I'm absolutely positive, and I'm super excited that you're going to be joining us on this journey, because it's going to be an amazing year, and I look forward to sharing it with you. And don't say thank you. Just be like, boom, let that sit in, drop the mic, do whatever you want.
I love that.
But the other final point that I find really effective for people giving a speech, especially if you're not confident, is breaking that barrier between you and the audience, and a story. Story is super powerful to start your speech. This is especially for an impromptu speech. If you just get thrown into it, if you've got 30 seconds to think of something, you can have a speech that tailors into your story. And it might be, you're walking around the stage, you go, I was on the plane here on the way here, and it was ridiculous what I saw with the customer service on the plane. There was one person who was amazing, then one who wasn't, and people were like, oh, yeah. And that's why, it left the lasting impression, and that's why I think we should be changing our customer service, and this is the things that we've put into it. And you can just flow that speech into it, and people straight away have that analogy to build back to. And I mean, I had the same thing when I used to give impromptu speeches at competitions. I would walk in and I'd pretty much know 90% of my impromptu speech before I got the topic. It'd be, I have a dream, like Martin Luther King intro. That would, after each I have a dream, I'd say the point that I was going to speak on. And then I would go into those points, and then I'd finish just with I have a dream. And it was just a framework that meant I could take out, I could fill up the speech, I could be emotive, I could make people remember those 3 points, and then I could walk out of it. So, I mean, it can often be difficult for speakers when they've got a lot of information to get across. But generally, if you've practiced it, you've got it coming off your tongue, then you're going to have some pretty good success with that. So don't memorize, don't overwhelm with too much information, and then you try and make it as relatable to a story as possible.
Definitely, and I completely agree with you. That's awesome advice. Some of the best speeches that I've heard, whether it be on YouTube or face-to-face or live, is when people are just painting a picture and carving out this amazing story for you. It just completely engages you. And I love that you said, I have a dream. That's amazing, because you're hooking people in. They're going, oh shit, what's he going to be talking about? This is great. So straight away you're engaging those people. So I think that's great advice. Yeah, hook people in and just tell a story and go from the points. That's awesome, man. What would you say is the best career advice you've ever received or been given or heard anywhere?
Easily, it's from a property mentor. He's kind of who got me into my entrepreneurial journey, and it was about chance or taking action almost. And I go back to it quite a lot. His name's Steve McKnight. He's I know him now quite well, but he said to us, and it really struck home with me. My finances weren't great at this time. I was thinking about should I decrease the hours that I'm working to free up more time to focus on other things? And he said, the majority of you are already living your worst case scenario. So is it that bad? And you feel like, nah, okay, well, go and try something else, because there's going to be a pretty similar worst case scenario waiting for you if it doesn't come off. So, if I quit the physio world and something didn't work, the physio world is always going to be there. I might take a pay cut, I might not, but it's always probably going to be there. There's going to be something that's going to be similar that you can go back to if that's the case. So it's definitely that is, if you've got something that's itching that needs scratching and you want to go out and chase it, then have a look. Is there going to be something that's pretty similar? And generally that is, and so it decreases a lot of that fear that you can probably go back and get a job in a similar industry, and it's not going to be too big of a hit.
Definitely. And that's one of the biggest things when it stops people from transitioning, or if they're in a role that they're fucking miserable in, it often stops them from moving into a different role or even considering it. They just remain miserable because, they're afraid, I've got to take a pay cut, or I have to start from the bottom. Quite often you don't even have to start from the bottom. You can often use your transferable skills and sell them on that and get into a better position. Even if you do have to start from the bottom or a pay cut, like you said, like you did with your physio stuff, you're going to be learning great lessons from it. You're going to be, learning and growing from it. So, it's always a plus in your career. And like you said, if shit hits the fan, you can always go into, one of your previous careers.
Yeah.
I myself have done that previously. I was working in the mines and I hated it up there. I couldn't stand being up there. It was just like a well-paid prison camp to me. Didn't like it and quit. I just quit, didn't have any job backing me up, and did what I had to do, and filled fruit and veg, and worked in fruit and veg stores just to get money till I got a better position again. I think a lot of people are too afraid to do that. They're just they're not willing to take that step. But in your career, when you're trying to transition as well, I think a lot of people don't realize that they can take that bridge, make that bridge, part time. They don't have to go all in and put everything they've got into it. They can slowly transition into that as well. So it's not like you have to take this massive leap where you're going to, fall on your ass. So that's one of the biggest things I've noticed. People are just afraid to even look into transitioning out of a job that they're miserable in. So,
and if you're good at your job and you want to try something else, if you're good at it, generally you can negotiate. You can say, I want to work 4 days. I want to work 3 days. I want to work 2 days from home and 3 days at work. So I've got an extra 2 hours that I'm not traveling twice a week that I can work on something else. Or, quit your job and freaking Uber.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's going to be legal in Queensland today, so it's turning legal. So you can go and Uber and do 5 hours the first thing in the morning from 5 till 10 a.m. And there's your 35 hours a week, and you've got the rest of the day to build something that's exciting, and there's that financial buffer. So there's a lot of options. Don't be scared to take them.
Yeah, exactly right. That's brilliant advice. And especially with the way the digital world is nowadays, there's so much freedom and flexibility in your career. I mean, more people than ever are working flexible jobs or flexi hours. And I think the way the employment industry is going to go, or starting to head from what I've read and all the trends, is that more and more people, notice more and more jobs are becoming contract work now. I think eventually the way the employment's going to head is we're going to only have a core team in businesses or for employment of maybe 5 to 6 people. The rest of the people are going to be like an Upwork scenario, basically where you're on a contract basis, you're employed for a certain project or role, and then you're back looking for other roles. I think that's the way the world's starting to head. So, no better chance to try and stand out and show your amazing skills. So, great advice, mate. Just moving on to the next bit. So our next one is a bit of a random question. It's something I use in my counselling all the time. It's called the miracle question. It's basically a solution-focused therapy question, which I use with my clients. But if a miracle were to occur for you, and you could achieve anything you really wanted, whether it be in your business or in the world or something that's a big problem for you, and you clicked your fingers and overnight it happened, what would that miracle be, and why would you want that to occur?
Yeah, I've thought heaps about this personally because it's something that I want to get to the financial position that I can hopefully just click my fingers and it will happen. But it's starting a school for kind of 14, 15 to 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds that is education-based incubator.
Awesome.
So entrepreneur is showing these kids this other path. So yeah, it might get a savvy internet marketer to take the kids for a week. I might get a salesperson to come in and teach them sales. Someone kids who want to learn coding but turn it into a business based thing. Someone teaching them how to scale or grow a team in business. So all the different fundamentals of different entrepreneurial things, but rather than percentage-based assessments, it's like, all right, we've personality profiled all of you guys, and you're the introvert, you're the extrovert, you're the this. Let's work to all your strengths, create a team, create an app, do a business plan, and kind of take those things. We'd ideally have a vested interest in them, and if they come out with a good idea, would mix them with VC and then grow that worldwide. So basically a school for young entrepreneurs or people who are disillusioned with school but aren't aiming to be flipping burgers for the rest of their life. They're just going, school doesn't stimulate me, school doesn't excite me, I know there's something more out there for me. But part of that would be for every kid who signed up who could afford it, or parents could afford it, or whatever, that would offer like a buy one, give one, for a less fortunate, financially a less fortunate child. Because that's really where I got a scholarship to a pretty good school when I was younger. So it kind of means a lot because I can see the influence and the change that it has in a community when people get educated in whatever area, from a ganglands or drug areas or high unemployment rates and things like that even if they go into a 9-to-5 job, that still breaks a cycle. So it's something that runs around in my head, and eventually hopefully I'll click my fingers one day, but in the meantime it's building up that network so that I can make it happen one day.
Wow, man, I absolutely love that vision. That's amazing. And just touching on that, like I kind of in the same aspect or same view with the education system. Don't want to bag it out too much, but a lot of the clients that I've worked with previously, I worked with a lot of students. Now I obviously work with more of a professional market who, been in their professional role for a while. But I've worked with a fair share of uni students who are so disillusioned and don't even know why they're enrolling into these uni degrees. So they've potentially put themselves 40 or 50 grand in debt, and they don't even know what they want to achieve out of it, or if they're going to get a job. Like some of the clients I've worked with, they've done a Bachelor of Science or something really, across the board standard.
Yeah.
And you say to them, what do you hope to achieve? Oh, I don't know. It just sounded cool. And I'm so you had no idea going into this what your whole plan was, what you wanted to achieve. And often you get people who are trying to get into these degrees or careers that have no employment growth. So, it's kind of disillusioning, where I've actually helped them transfer a lot of these skills either into another course that has got high employment growth and they're actually going to be fulfilled in, or help them figure out what they can do. Like, a lot of the things that I've seen, I'm just going, wow, it's incredible to see. Like, these people, come straight out of school, straight into uni, and just have no clue what they're doing. And as I said, employment projections are the biggest thing. Not many people understand which way the trends are heading. So I think that's amazing, man, to be able to help people get into entrepreneurship and support them through the whole journey. That's incredible.
Yeah, well, I interviewed one of my friends today, and when you interview your friends, you often don't know their backstory. You meet them through an entrepreneurial business group or something, and I was chatting to him, and I said, what was 0 to 18 like for you? And he's like, I got an OP23, the worst is an OP24, and I was rollerblading at the skate park, working, doing whatever for the first 6 months after school because I had no idea. And I said, because he's a smart guy, he's clued on. I said, did you not put any effort into school, or did school let you down? And that's what he said. He said, school let me down. I wasn't challenged, I wasn't stimulated, and I wasn't interested. I was just made to do A, B, and C, and that was the end result. And it wasn't until he went to TAFE, he did some IT stuff, and then did IT, and now he's running IT business, and it all just flows on from there. That you don't need to be the 100% book smart person, but you just have to be stimulated. It doesn't matter if you want to go into the 9 to 5. If you want to work for somebody or you want to run your own business, you need to be stimulated. And I think I'm a massive advocate of personality profiling, whatever area it is, because the more you find things that are in your flow that you enjoy doing, just the more enjoyable you are as a person.
Exactly, I completely agree. And school let me down in that way too, because mainly because I had no help with my guidance or direction. One, from my parents, they just expected me just to work like they did. I mean, my dad had his own business, but was a slave to his own business. He was the only one working in his cleaning business and just worked himself like a workaholic. So Victor, do you feel like what you're currently doing, do you feel like that's your biggest why in life? Do you feel like you found your why, what you really lights you up and lights that fire inside you, or what you're truly passionate about?
Nah. I think when I get this young entrepreneur school done, and also some things that I want to do to help health practitioners with their businesses, seeing how many of them are terrible with their marketing and things like that, and terrible with they're like your dad, they are slaves to their business. They're skilled practitioners who buy a business and end up in it. I feel like what I'm doing now has an impact, but I feel like if I can get those two things, it's kind of that exponential impact that, if I can teach young entrepreneurs to change the world and then scale that, you're having this exponential impact. Whereas at the moment, I feel like I'm helping a lot of people, which is cool.
Yep.
But and I do get excited with a lot of the stuff that I do. I keep seeing this bigger vision, and whether there's a fear there stopping me getting started right now, but I've kind of got a bit of a roadmap in my head to get there, and things I want to tick off from a social proof side of things. To I want to be running the school from a place of being there and done that, not a place of I'm currently going there on the journey and I'm just a couple of steps ahead of you.
Yeah.
Just from an authenticity point of view.
Perfect. So what are some of the biggest steps you plan on taking within the next month or next 6 months to help you start on this path of starting this school up? What are some of the things that you've planned to really get this kick started?
So I'm releasing my first book probably in the next couple of weeks about connecting with influencers to boost your own authority and strategies to do that. But I'm going to start being more read on ways that we can improve the young education system. And then I'm going to, over the next probably month to 6 weeks, I'm going to create like VictorAhipene.com, and that's going to be my personal brand where I want to get and speak to more high schools, speak at more events, do some TEDx youth talks, so I can really start getting the message out there and learn from that. Like, what do people love about it? What don't they love? What can cause a bit of controversy? And once I've got that sort of done, then I'll go for some media exposure I think the vision, from the amount of people that I've talked to in this space, my guests, other people, there's enough buy-in of other people who'd be keen to help on the vision.
Yep.
So I think expanding that with media would just get more people on board, but it's a matter, again, of having something so I'm not scaling quicker than hey, I've got this awesome idea. Does everyone want to jump on board? Yeah, an idea is great, but you've got to have some substance to it. So by October, I see myself speaking to large audiences. Well, when I say large, minimum high schools, if not, I want my first TEDx event to be this year as well. So. Brilliant.
That's awesome. And I know, what was it? One of your previous guests who you connected me with, I can't remember his name now, but he was a TEDx speaker as well, wasn't he?
Yep. Jesus, you put me on the spot now.
I can't remember either. I've spoken to him a few times on Facebook. Eric Jamon.
Yeah, Eric Tamundi.
Tamundi, that's it. Yeah. So I think that's brilliant, mate. And that's getting in front of the schools and it's always the challenging point, getting into schools and doing the talks and stuff like that. But what a massive difference that's going to make. And I have to say, guys, I've read the first chapter of Victor's book, and it's absolutely amazing. So I'll put a link for when Victor does come up with it. I'll put a link to the book, and guys, honestly, get on board. It's absolute gold. So yeah, definitely get on board with that one. So what would be your biggest, positive habit or ritual that you do every day, which helps you achieve the success or helps you move forward in your life? And also, what's one of your most negative ones?
My most positive one is connecting with people. And my most negative one is the time I spend connecting with people. So often it's via social media. Yeah. And that's just a freaking time drain that I'm really trying to put some things in place, apps and plugins to block me off from certain things, because it's an addiction. And a lot of people should be admitting that. We don't want to, but networking is probably something that I do on a daily, 20 Facebook private messages is a pretty normal thing in my inbox each day to be replying to people. But when I put something out to them, or people offer up their skills or their help and things like that, it really comes quite quickly in return. So I don't do it for anything in return, but connecting others with different people, and it comes back in spades. So that's definitely my strongest point. Attention to detail isn't.
Yeah. That's I'm exactly the same as you. I find I'm always giving and talking to people, helping them out with problems and stuff like that. I mean, for me, it's not just about the financial side for business. I got into it obviously because I have that pure passion of wanting to help change people's lives, and my big vision is to impact millions of people and get them into careers they love. So I'm guilty of that. That's my positive and my negative too. So thanks for sharing, man. So Victor, what would be one book or resource or app or a bit of technology that you've utilized or you currently utilize that's basically your lifesaver or has really helped you, and what can really help my audience, I guess, with moving forward either in their career or to help them advance with public speaking or anything like that?
My favorite app at the moment, there's kind of two of them that I use at the same time. One of them's Headspace. Okay. It's a guided meditation app. So my girlfriend and I do it most nights in bed, which we shouldn't do. You're meant to be quite late, but it'll put me to sleep. But which is sometimes good. Sometimes I get through the whole thing, but it just really allows you to be away from technology before you go to sleep, even though it's coming out of your phone. And it allows you to, I guess, switch off from the day. And the other app that I'm using in conjunction with that is Sleep Cycle. Okay. And you put it under the edge of your bed, or under the sheet in your bed, and you switch it on when you're going to sleep. And it's basically an alarm. And then when you're rolling in bed, you basically move more when you're in lighter sleep patterns, and you move less when you're in deeper. And they go on about 90-minute cycles. And so you set your alarm to say wake between 5 and 5:30 or 7 and 7:30, and it'll wake you when you're in your shallowest part of that sleep phase, and you wake up way clearer.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I have to check that out.
Yeah, so it's really, really good. So you might wake up at 5 or you might wake up at 5:30, but either way, you're not groggy. You're not like, ugh. And then it's a pretty handy app. It's not a lot of times that you want to hit replay or snooze on the phone.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing that. So Victor, we're just about to wrap up, but what is some of the leaving advice that you'd give to my audience? What are some of the biggest things that you've learned that you'd love to share with the audience about progressing their career or moving forward in their career?
Don't be afraid to ask. Often people are like, I'll wait for the next pay review before I get that. Hopefully this job, when so-and-so leaves or when they create this job, that they'll ask me. I have a lot of friends, who are quite content in their 9-to-5s, but they want that next transition up because they're the aspiring people. And I say to them, just, go and ask what you've got to do, ask what's in place, ask what their vision is for you. Because just because a lot of people, I think, get disgruntled when they don't get that promotion or don't get that extra responsibility because they thought that it should be theirs. But if you've got a clear opening with your senior management or your business or whatever, go out and ask them and say, hey, look, I'm happy where I am, but I've got aspirations to go higher, or I've got aspirations for more responsibility or less time. Is that something that's going to be plausible? It doesn't have to happen right now. And if they say yes, okay, cool. What's the best steps that I can do to put myself forward for that, to make that happen? And I think that's a massive difference to sitting and hoping. Like, you're putting it in your charge. If they don't give it to you, or they don't give you a pathway, well, then you know that you live in your worst case scenario. So go and look. You can go and look for something else, and that'll probably still be there where you'd be in 2 years' time anyway. So it kind of goes back to that other saying. So that's what I'd do. Go out there and ask. It's uncomfortable at times, but at the end of the day, it's your happiness, and it'll benefit you.
Oh, I can completely back that. That's 100% what's really helped me, especially with my business, but in your career also. Don't be afraid of reaching out to people. Don't be afraid of stepping up to that level, or reaching up to your manager or someone at an upper level, because quite often they're really approachable and easy to talk. You're just putting your own fears and beliefs in your head. So yeah, that's great advice, Victor. Also, I just want to welcome you to the Career Breakthrough Tribe, mate. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being a guest. Always love talking to you, mate, and thank you for sharing your absolute gold nuggets with my audience. And just going forward, so where can everyone connect with you if they want to connect with you, or where can they find out about the public speaking blueprint or the Youngpreneurs podcast?
Best place to get in touch with me is my personal Facebook page. Add me, get in touch. Obviously, got some websites under construction or about to get started, so I won't go and link them. It'll likely be at my domain, victorahipene.com. But yeah, on Facebook, or flick me an email at victor@passiveincomeyoung.com, and we can hopefully tee up a chat or figure out a way of having a bit of a talk, because there's going to be some cool things coming out over the coming weeks and months.
Awesome, Victor. Thank you so much again. And look forward to talking to you real soon. Thanks a lot, guys. And stay tuned next week. We'll have another amazing guest ready for you. So I'll see you all then.
Today's show is sponsored by the Public Speaking Blueprint. Have you guys ever wanted to wow your audience with standout presentations that completely engage everyone that's listening and get them wanting more from what you're saying? Well, today, guys, Victor is sharing this amazing special just for the listeners of this show. He's sharing his amazing live recording of his event that he held, his Public Speaking Blueprint, which was normally $497 for the people that were attending on the day. He's sharing it with you guys, just for the listeners of the show, for $97. That's a massive $400 saving on each of these deals. So guys, if you really want to nail your presentations and find yourself standing out and reaching these key stakeholders or making these sales that you really need in your career, this is the way to go ahead. So just click on the link below and it'll take you through to the amazing offer you can get on board with. Well guys, I've got an amazing guest lined up for you next week, and I can't wait to share the next show with you.